It's pretty wild when you stop and think about it. The whole idea of a place to stay is completely changing right before our eyes. I mean, from those grand old hotels to your neighbor's Airbnb, the world of hospitality is going through this massive shakeup. So today, we're going to dive deep into that evolution. And we've got a guide, an expert who's seen it all over the last 4 decades to help us understand how we got here and, more importantly, where this is all going.
I mean, this quote just nails it, right? It perfectly captures the giant leap we're talking about. This isn't just about a few new apps or gadgets, it's a fundamental rewrite of what it even means to own, manage, and stay in a property. We're shifting from a world that was all about physical keys and front desks to one where digital assets are becoming just as real.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll meet our guide. Then, we'll cover the classic lessons that never go out of style. After that, we'll tackle the short-term rental boom that's happening right now, peek into the digital future, and then wrap it all up with the key things you really need to remember.
So, who's going to be our guide through all this change? Meet Daniel Vosotas, an industry veteran who's so well known, people call him Dan the Hotel Man. He's really the perfect person to connect the dots for us, from the old school way of doing things to this crazy new frontier.
And you might be asking, why him? Well, check this out. 40 years of hands-on experience in hotel management and real estate development. That kind of deep-rooted knowledge is just so crucial. It helps us understand not just what's happening now, but why it's happening and where we're probably headed next.
Okay, before we get all futuristic and talk about Airbnb and blockchain, we've got to start with the fundamentals. Because here's the thing, no matter how much the tech changes, the core of what makes a great stay, well, that stuff is timeless. A warm welcome, a sparkling clean room, great service. That's always going to be the foundation.
Daniel's expertise is really built on these 3 pillars. It all starts with traditional hotels, learning how to master operations and make things run smoothly. That experience is the perfect foundation for navigating the wild world of the short-term rental revolution. And that, in turn, gives him this unique insight into the next wave, digital real estate. You see how it all connects? Each step builds on the last.
So let's see how those classic lessons apply to right now. The rise of the short-term rental, or STR, has totally flipped the script. It's created these incredible opportunities for sure, but it's also a minefield of potential mistakes for anyone new to the game.
So, let's get real for a second. Maybe you're one of the millions of people out there thinking about it, turning a spare room or a second property into a short-term rental. If that's you, then you're definitely going to want to pay close attention to this next part.
According to our experts, these are the biggest traps that new hosts fall into, time and time again. And honestly, they all boil down to one core problem: treating it like a casual hobby instead of a real business. Jumping in with zero market research, completely ignoring local laws, pricing based on feelings, and the big ones, terrible communication with guests, and having no idea what your numbers are. That's what a hobbyist does, and that's what'll sink your ship before you even leave the harbor.
Now, the good news is you don't have to do everything by hand. The pros certainly don't. They use a tech toolkit, just like this one. There are platforms for pretty much everything. You've got AirDNA for market data, Price Labs for setting your prices automatically, even Turno to manage your cleaning schedules. The big takeaway here is that the serious hosts use technology to automate all the busy work, which frees them up to focus on the one thing that truly matters: the guest experience.
Okay, let's shift gears and look even further down the road. If short-term rentals were the big disruption of the last decade, then things like automation, AI, and blockchain, well, they're shaping up to be the next one. And this is where things start to get really interesting.
I mean, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, doesn't it? But it's a very real question the industry is wrestling with. We're already seeing automation everywhere, from self-check-in kiosks to AI-powered concierge. The real question is, how far is it going to go?
And this right here, this is the heart of the matter. It's a real tug of war. Guests, well, we want the slick, seamless convenience that technology offers. But at the same time, we still crave that genuine human connection. That's the soul of hospitality, right? The future isn't about choosing one over the other. It's about finding that sweet spot, a hybrid model where technology handles the routine stuff, freeing up humans to create more memorable and meaningful experiences for guests.
And that brings us to an even bigger, more mind-bending idea: tokenization. Okay, put simply, it's about taking a real-world asset like a hotel and converting the ownership rights into a digital token. It's kind of like a digital stock certificate, but for a piece of property. It might sound complex, but trust me, the implications are absolutely massive.
This all leads to this new concept called digital real estate, and the easiest way to wrap your head around it is to think of it as a digital deed. So, instead of a thick stack of papers locked away in a filing cabinet, your proof of ownership is a secure, transparent, and instantly verifiable token that lives on a blockchain.
Now, when you put the old way and the new way side by side like this, the difference is just wow. The traditional path is slow, it's clogged with middlemen, and it's not always transparent. This new digital approach promises a future that's incredibly fast, totally transparent, and could potentially blow the doors wide open for more people to invest in real estate.
So, after that whirlwind tour from classic bellhops to digital deeds, what's the bottom line? What's the thread that ties all of this together? Let's boil it all down to the key takeaways.
All right, here are the three main things to walk away with. First, and this is so important, the core principles of a great guest experience will never, ever go out of style. That's always number one. Second, technology is an amazing tool, but it should be used to make the human side of hospitality better, not to replace it. And finally, the very definition of real estate is changing and expanding in some really exciting ways, making ownership more digital and accessible than ever before.
And that really leaves us with one final big question to chew on. In a world where technology lets us live, work, and stay almost anywhere we want, what is that secret ingredient? What's that magic spark that turns just a physical space into a place that feels welcoming, a place that feels truly hospitable? That's the question that's going to drive the future of this whole industry.